It is a gorgeous day at Epcot, the perfect time to check out Mission Space. In this video, I'm going to cover everything you need to know to make a decision if this ride is right for you and your family. We'll be covering information for plus-size people, people who use mobility and accessibility devices, and folks who have cognitive and sensory concerns, including motion sickness and claustrophobia. I'll also share a little bit about strollers as well. Welcome to Pammie Plus Parks. I am Pammie, your plus-size fairy godmother, bringing you all the magic Florida theme parks have to offer plus-size people and people with mobility, accessibility, cognitive, and sensory concerns. We're also going to cover claustrophobia, motion sickness, and some information about strollers too. Everything you need to know. Now, before you even get in line for this ride, there's a couple of things you're going to want to know. Let's get started. ECVs and wheelchairs and other mobility devices like canes, walkers, and rollators are all allowed in the queue for this ride, but strollers are not. Just outside of the ride is a stroller parking area. Check in with your cast member before getting in line and they'll tell you exactly where this is located because it may change as construction continues throughout Epcot. Now this ride is particularly unique here at Walt Disney World. It's the only ride that has two different types of experiences. There's a more intense version of the ride that's called the orange ride, and then there's a less intense version called the green. There are actually two different queues, one for the orange and one for the green. Both the orange ride and the green have standby and fast pass lines. So if you have a fast pass for this ride, you can choose which intensity you'd like to ride, green or orange. A little something about motion sickness for this ride, because another unique quality of the ride is that whether you choose the less intense version or the more intense version, there are vomit bags inside the ride capsules for each of the riders. Many people do experience motion sickness with this ride, regardless of which intensity they go on, but don't be scared. Let me tell you a little bit more about it and share my personal experience. I don't generally have any sort of motion sickness whatsoever. I love roller coasters. I can go upside down on them. I can go super fast. I love high intensity thrill rides, and I love motion simulation rides as well. So I don't normally have motion sickness on any rides. However, when I try the more intense version of this ride, the orange ride, I find that after I get off the ride, I'm kind of queasy and a little off balance for up to 3 days. When I try the green version of this ride, I find that I'm just a tiny bit queasy and a little bit off balance for up to 3 hours. Usually only 15-20 minutes or so, but on occasion I have felt a little bit off center for up to 3 hours. Now that's just my personal experience. Everybody's experience differs. Let me tell you just a little bit more about how the ride works to help you better understand it and make your decision. Now the ride actually has sort of a wheel design. There's a hub in the middle and there are arms that come off of the hub. On the end of each of the arms is a pod, and that ride pod holds 4 seats. For the orange ride, each of those arms with a pod on the end of it rotates super fast around the hub, so it spins like a centrifuge. That centrifuge effect gives you the G-forces that you would feel as though you were in space. It really simulates that space feeling. It's that spinning centrifuge G-force that makes a lot of people really nauseous. In addition to the G-forces, your vehicle will tilt forward and back and from side to side. You may experience a little bit of bumping as well in certain parts of the ride. That motion simulates the experience you're seeing on the screens in front of you. For the green version of the ride, you have the same setup. You have arms that come off of a hub with pods on the end of them. Each of the pods has 4 seats. However, those arms do not rotate. The arm stays stationary and the ride vehicle tilts forward and back and side to side. The only difference in the experience is the G-force. You get the G-force with the orange ride and you don't get it with the green. I also want to note that even though this is an intense ride, it's not scary. So even little kids will enjoy it. As long as they meet the height requirement, they should have a fun time on this ride. So it's thrilling, it's exciting, but not scary. This ride actually has 2 warning boards, one for green and one for orange. And as you can see, for green, there's no spinning on this ride. There's lesser sensation of forces on the body. However, expectant mothers should not ride this ride, and there's less of a chance of motion sickness, but no guarantee that you won't have some motion sickness. Also for this ride, there are different height requirements. If you want to ride green, you can be 40 inches or taller. If you want to ride orange, you must be 44 inches or taller. Okay, we're gonna head into this ride now. I'm going to try the green version of this ride because I know it has less of a chance of giving me motion sickness. Normally, I don't even bother with this ride because it does give me a little bit of motion sickness, but I'm taking one for the team, guys. I want you to see what the ride looks like. And I want to show you the restraints, which are plus size friendly. All right, here we go for Mission Green. Stand by. There is very low lighting inside of this building. That's something you'll want to know if you have eyeglasses that transition from glasses to sunglasses. As you enter the ride, they give you one of these launch tickets that has all of the cautions listed on it. This is the green ticket. The orange ticket has the orange cautions on it. And it is available in multiple languages just to make sure people know what they're getting into when they get on this ride. Now, if you happen to be using a mobility device like a wheelchair, an ECV, a rollator, walker, or cane, you can use that throughout the entire queue. If you're using a wheelchair or ECV, you will need to transfer from your device into the ride seat. And there is a transport device available to help you do that. It's a special seat that goes right up against the ride. You would transfer from your wheelchair ECV into the transport seat, and then you slide from the seat into the ride vehicle. If you're using a cane, a walker, or a rollator, as you board the pod, a cast member will take that from you and hold it for you through the duration of the ride. When the ride's over and you're exiting, they'll give it back to you. If at any time during the course of standing in line, if you happen to be in line for the orange ride and you change your mind and you want to get into green, they will let you do that. Also, if you decide you don't want to go on the ride at all, they'll let you opt out. There is an area just out off the ride where there's activities and fun stuff for you to do while you wait for your party. If you happen to decide this ride is not for you, get in line anyhow and stay with your family and friends so you can laugh, talk, and make memories together. You will have the opportunity to opt out of the ride at the last minute and go hang out and wait for them in the Space Training Center, or take a seat outside and wait for them. Never pass up an opportunity to hang out with your family and friends, because that's what you're here for after all, is to make happy memories with them and spend time together. Just one.
Row 1 for me.
Thank you.
Row 3. You
want to be first, though?
You're here today to train for the greatest adventure in the history of mankind, space travel. I know you're probably feeling a little nervous right now. Don't. Every astronaut has felt that way at one time or another, even the heroes who went to the moon. But there is one thing they had that you don't have yet. Training. Navigator, pilot, commander, or engineer. The success of your mission will depend on all of you working together as a team. I'll be your Capcom, and in a few minutes I'll give you your specific assignments. But first, our flight director has some safety instructions for you. Lieutenant?
Remember the team number you're standing on. When the doors in front of you open, you will be directed to a flight station with that number on it. When you get there, please stand on the circles. During your Green Team Less Intense training mission, you will be enclosed inside X2 flight simulators that produce sensations of acceleration. Those who are made uncomfortable by enclosed dark spaces or simulators should bypass this experience.
Rows 8 and 3. Rows 9 and 2. Okay, listen up. Here are your assignments. Navigator, you'll be adjusting the pitch of the X2 if necessary, and firing thrusters for your descent. You'll also be triggering the landing sequence. Commander, you will be responsible for activating the flight sequence and for activating manual control.
Stow all personal items in the compartment in front of you. Young cadets wearing a lanyard will need a special X2 booster to train for this mission. When you enter the capsule, insert the booster as shown. Once you have secured all cargo, help your young cadets lower their restraints. Then take your seat, reach up, and pull down your restraint. After you have completed your mission, remove your X2 booster and place it in the recovery bin on your way out.
Attention trainees, follow the markers on the floor to your X2 training and begin boarding.
Store personal items in the compartment in front of you. Then reach up and pull down on the restraint.
I'm really surprised. I didn't get the least bit nauseous on this ride. Maybe because I was trying to film in there. It was too dark for me to actually film the ride for you, which is okay because that will leave it as a surprise for you. I found it to be a very gentle ride, very enjoyable ride. I had a lot of fun. One tip though, because the harness comes down over your head, you're gonna wanna take your ears off because mine got a little smashed in there. You'll also wanna keep in mind, if you are claustrophobic, that that harness comes down over you and the panel in front of you comes in forward. For a plus size person like myself, who is 5 feet 4 inches tall, and I weigh 322 pounds today, wearing a size 26 on top and bottom. I'm also a 44D on top. No problems with that harness. It's one of those glide and lock systems, so it doesn't have a certain number of clicks that it has to be in order for it to be locked into place. It locks as you pull it down. And when the dashboard comes towards you, I had about this much space between me and the dashboard. So my belly was about 2 to 3 inches away from the dashboard. Plenty of room for me. Well, let's check out the section of this ride where your family can wait for you if they decide they don't want to go on it. If you happen to decide this ride is not for you, there's an area in here where there's tons of interactive games and lots of comfortable seating for you to relax while you wait for your party. There's even a playground area, an indoor sort of like tubes playground area for kids as well. Mission Space is one of the few rides at Epcot that utilizes Rider Switch. So if you have someone in your party that is a child under 18 who is unable to ride the ride, you will be able to use this service. It allows one member of your party to stay with the child and the rest of the party to enjoy the ride. And as soon as the ride is over, the member of the party who's with the child can swap out and go on the ride, and the rest of the party can wait with the child. The rider swap service varies from park to park and ride to ride, so always check with a cast member before you get on the ride to determine if it will work for you and your party. While I was boarding this ride, I noticed that they also offer booster seats for the smaller riders. So even if your child meets the height requirement, they may be required to use a booster seat. There's a little area just outside the entrance of the ride where your cast members will measure the height of your child to ensure whether or not they need that booster seat. Let's talk about cognitive and sensory concerns for this ride. I personally am autistic and I have some auditory sensory concerns. I have no issue with that on this ride. There's a little bit of flashing lights on the panel in front of you during the course of the ride, very minor. But if you are extremely photosensitive, this may be something you'll want to take into consideration. During the show portions of this ride, there are subtitles so that those who have hearing impairments will be able to read what the actors are saying. For my friends with vision and hearing concerns, there is a system in this ride that will boost the audio for you if you have some hearing and need that audio boosted. There are captions available for the show portions of the rides, the portions of the ride that describe the safety instructions and so forth, but there's no captions inside the ride itself. Now, my friends with vision concerns, the descriptions on the ride of what's happening are blow by blow, so there's a really detailed narration throughout the entire ride. Therefore, there's no real need for an audio descriptive device for this ride because the ride itself is so descriptive. I hope all the information in this video was super helpful to you and helps you make the right decision for you and your family concerning Mission Space here at Epcot. Don't go away yet because I have an entire playlist of videos for you to watch for Epcot that will help you plan your vacation. Remember, folks, life is a roller coaster. Enjoy the ride.